Hey everybody out there in the Facebook land. I'm going to get started in just a minute. Hope everybody's had a great day, productive day. All right, so tonight I'm going to be talking about the fear of the unknown. And it seems to be a recurring theme that I've listened to over the past couple of weeks with friends and family that I've talked to. So the first night was feeling lost. The second night was my past does not exist. And tonight is the fear of the unknown. So it's going to be day 3 of a 5-day series that I will end on a Friday. So the fear of the unknown. Hey, Tiffany. The fear of the unknown. There are a lot of times where we have our purpose. We know our purpose, we know our talents, we know our gifts. But for some reason, when we're asked, well, what are you doing with them? How are you going to get there? I tend to hear the answer, well, I have a fear of the unknown. And then I ask them, okay, well, what is unknown? What is unknown to us today? And the answer is usually, well, my future as a whole, the ending product, how do I get there? How do I get started? And so again, I ask, okay, well, what is unknown? Because most of us, whatever we're searching for can be easily identified, right? Because we have social media. We have so much at our fingertips. We have Google that can easily answer any question for us. Now, of course, some sites are fraudulent, but for the most part, we can find any answer that we need. And of course, what God can do is known. We don't know specifically what's going to happen in the future, but what God can do is known. Hey, Crystal. So again, I'll just recap for Crystal real quick. Tonight, we're talking about the fear of the unknown and pushing through that to live in your destiny. And a lot of people ask and say that there's so many different things that are unknown, but we have so many different things at our fingertips. So of course, I just said like social media, Google. We know that what God can do is known because we know what he's done for us in the past. So we know that based off of what he's done in the past, we know our future is set. So again, what is unknown? Now, how many of you out there have friends or family that own a business or have a business? Most of us, right? So again, what is unknown? If you have family and friends that own a business, if you have within the same surroundings people that go through different things, have different struggles and have gotten through them, then you really have the answers in pretty much anyone and anybody that surrounds you. So for me, there's so much that is known, but we have a fear of actually stepping out and doing something and figuring out what are the practical ways to get our long-term goals. And what are some of the short-term things that we can do today to get there? So there are so many different resources that we have not tapped into because we're so focused on the future. And I'll get to some of those in a minute. But when you're so focused on the future, it's hard for you to get those short-term goals done because you're so focused on the finished product. And then a year later, you've still done nothing to move the needle to get to where you want to get to. So if anybody says to me that they have a fear of the unknown, I think it's just a fear, period. Because almost anything that you need to know of starting a business is known. I've been in business for 6 months. If you have questions about business, I can tell you because I've been in it for 6 months. I can at least give you the first steps to get to where you want to go. So if you're even watching this and you're like, oh, I've been needing to ask questions about this, that, and the third, I can tell you, if you, after this Facebook Live video and want to talk about how to start a business, it doesn't matter which type of niche you're in. There's certain things that you just have to do for each business. Whether it's creating your LLC or getting a trademark, getting your business cards, there's so many different things that we can do that are small that we can start off with our businesses. Just call and ask. I think we have a really hard time with being vulnerable with people. And I also believe that we have this type of outlook on life that you have to move in silence, which I think is really, sometimes it's really silly to me. How can you move in silence and actually get what you need to get done? Hey, Aunt Felisa. Hey, Howard. Hey, Candace. So tonight we're talking about the fear of the unknown. And there's just so many different things at our fingertips. There are so many different things that we can do, so many different ways that we can get to our destiny, but we need to make sure we're setting those short-term goals. So again, if you have a business or you're looking to own a business, you have family, friends, you have so many different people, hey Khalil, that can help you out and tell you the exact steps to take it. If you want to know how to write a book, I've written two. So if you need to know that, you have to ask. Like we don't need to, like I was saying before, we don't need to move in silence. Had I not told people what I was doing when I was writing my book, I wouldn't have had a publisher. Somebody that I knew that was good in poetry, I asked them, hey, let me know what you think about my book. And a week later, they were like, oh, I know a publisher. Hallelujah. Like you definitely have to tell people what you're doing, not necessarily all the different details to what you're trying to do, but at least allow people to come into your world, because you never know how they can change, or you never know how or if God has placed them in your life to tell you exactly what you need to do. When I was writing the book, and I didn't know I was writing it yet, my brother asked me when I sent him, one of my poems, he said, well, when is your book coming out? I had no idea I was writing a book. But in that moment, that was God telling him, this is your book. You need to get started. And that same week, I started to get my outline together. I started to Google how to write a book, how to put a book together. So there's so many different things that we can do. There's so many different resources that we have not tapped into to actually move into our purpose and what God's plan is for us. And it kind of just dawned on me the other day when I was actually going through my alcoholism. My dad was asking me, well, why didn't you say anything to me? Because he went through the same thing. He also is a prevention specialist. He was a prevention fellow for the state of North Carolina. So if I needed any type of resource, I could have easily gotten it from him. But I decided that I needed to deal with it on my own versus allowing God to lead me and show me exactly what I needed to do to get out of it. I wouldn't have been in my alcoholism so long had I not, or had I actually talked about it and said something to my dad about it, because he was the number one resource for me to get out of that. So it doesn't matter what you're dealing with, whether it is personal, whether it's in business. There are so many different things that we can do on a short-term level to get to our long-term goals. So again, I want to be an inspirational speaker. Well, I am a speaker, but I want to hone in my skills. So if my goal is to be on TED Talks, then I need to be in some type of class that helps me with my skills. So I'm taking Toastmaster classes. And in the future, once I finish this particular pathway, I want to go to the next pathway to continue to exceed and excel in what God would have me to do. So just make sure you are setting those short-term goals to get to those long-term goals. Stop looking at the long-term goals and not setting those short-term goals. And it kind of sounds like it's something that is easy to do, but for an example, you don't see a first grader thinking about, oh, well, how am I going to graduate college? No, they're just learning 1 + 1 is 2. And then second grade, you're learning 2 × 2 is 4. Like, it is a process. It's just little by little by little. And before you know it, you're in high school, you're in middle school, high school, college, you are able to see the growth. And it's just the same way as God and faith and living in your purpose and doing things little by little. It's all about growth. It's all about maturity. And you will get there, but you have to go through the journey. God is already in the future. He wants you to walk in it and get prepared for what he has for you. He can't give you can't give you the future. He can't give you where you need to go if you don't root yourself now. So make sure you keep up with those short-term goals. Even tonight, when you get off of this Facebook live video, think of some things that you can do, like 15 minutes tonight, and just say Thursday and Friday, I can spend 30 minutes on this, that, and the third. I can research this on Google. I can research this. I can call Kendra up and ask her what she thinks about this, that, and the third. And then by Friday, you can be setting your goals for the following week. Hey, Anthony. Hey, Natalie. You can be setting your goals for the following week And then before you know it, it's a year later and you're working your business in a way that you never thought you would. But you have to take those first steps, and it's little by little. Again, if you set those short-term goals, you will get to your long-term goals. You have to be prepared. You have to be rooted. That's the only way that you're going to be able to sustain yourself when the success comes. So believe in God, have faith, start small every day, contribute to your future every day, and God will bless you. Thank everybody for watching. This video will be on YouTube as well, and on my page, God's Perspective for Me, LLC. Tomorrow I will be talking about letting it go, letting that control go, and allowing God to step in and do what he needs to do for your life. Thank you all. Y'all have a good night.